Humans are notorious for categorizing ourselves and others based on relatively arbitrary characteristics such as race, gender, and sexuality. However, these categorizations do not take into account the true complexity and intersectionality of our identities. David Cronenberg's M. Butterfly and Hector Babenco's Kiss of the Spider Woman successfully take on the difficult task of showcasing leading characters with ambiguous and intersectional identities in order to both shed light on these traditional and restrictive ideas of gender and sexuality and challenge them. First, Melina. We are initially introduced to Melina while he's wearing a women's floral robe, a red towel on his head, and makeup. We later learn that he is sexually attracted to men, refers to himself as a woman, and wishes he had the courage to cut off his male genitalia. Yet, the audience is never left with a definitive answer regarding Melina's gender and sexuality. Similarly, in M. Butterfly, the main character's Song is initially presented as a female opera singer. It is later revealed, though, that Song is actually a male spy. However, there are subtle hints that Song is acting and dressing like a woman for more reasons than simply to spy. For example, at one point a comrade questions why he uses his female persona even when Gallimard is not around, to which he gives an unconvincing reason that it is all for the betterment of his deception. He then says, with a sad look on his face,
I'm trying my best to become somebody else.
The two characters' identities are meant to be left ambiguous and fluid in order to serve as a message for viewers to accept them and those like them for who they are as human beings. We often get too caught up in assigning labels to people and end up forgetting that they are more than these labels. The most important part about one's identity that must be recognized above all else is the overarching fact that the individual is a human being. Along with Song's and Melina's actions and appearances, the things that they say also help challenge binary frameworks of gender and sexuality. Much of the dialogue in Kiss of the Spider Woman focuses on challenging constructions of masculinity.
Stop crying! You sound just like an old woman! What's this between your legs, huh? Tell me, lady!
It's an accident. If I had the courage, I'd cut it off.
You'd still be a man. A man!
Waiting is always waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
Waiting for what?
A man. A real man. But that can't happen because a real man, what he wants is a real woman.
These two scenes make a clear point of two main aspects of identity that our society tends to use to define what it means to be a man: one's sexuality and biological sex. In other words, by our society's standards, a man is defined by a combination of his heterosexuality, or his desire for women, as well as his male reproductive organs. This definition is very limiting and excludes an array of individuals who identify as men, such as those who identify as gay and those who identify as trans. On the other hand, M. Butterfly focuses more on constructions of femininity, as well as how these constructions are closely related to men. Traditionally, masculinity has been equated with dominance, power, and independence, while femininity has been equated with the opposite of all of these things: submissiveness, weakness, and dependence. As can be seen, each set of qualities is in complete opposition with the other, and they position men in a place of power and authority over women. Women are defined in relation to men. They are defined by everything men should not be. Song makes this point as he answers his own question of why women's opera roles in Beijing are traditionally played by men.
Only a man knows how a woman is supposed to act.
While these characters are fictional, the messages that they convey and the frameworks that they challenge are both very real. Anyone who doesn't fit into these restricting frameworks becomes a likely target of ridicule and abuse. In fact, these types of frameworks are a big contributing factor to a lot of the violence and hate crimes that we see far too often across the nation. In other words, they have very real consequences. However, if these ideas of gender and sexuality have been socially constructed over time, then it is our job now to deconstruct them and construct more inclusive ones. Song and Melina and the real people that they represent encourage us not to celebrate difference as such, but to establish more inclusive conditions for sheltering and maintaining life that resists models of assimilation.